What in the heck is going on with Rashee Rice's knee? We'll talk about that in this video. We'll look back at last week's matchup versus the Chargers, and then we'll look ahead to the Chiefs-Saints game coming up in a big Monday night Week 5 matchup. I am Gary McKenzie, your host. Welcome to RGR Football, and let's get right into it. So Rashee Rice took a blow to the knee after Mahomes threw an interception. Mahomes was trying to dive and stop the player with the ball who had intercepted it, dove and hit Rashee Rice right in the knee. We saw Rashee Rice's knee extend backwards, and it looked like a hyperextended knee at first to me. And after the game, many people on the Chiefs staff, Andy Reid included, were talking about it potentially being an ACL tear, as well as setting expectations that Rashee Rice will miss a lot of time. So you've watched players get injured so many years, so many times in the NFL, and then usually you wait for the next day, and Ian Rappaport or another reporter comes out and says player X has a confirmed torn ACL or this injury, that injury, and they're going to be out for the season, or it's an expected 8-week time frame. We just saw this happen with Isaiah Pacheco when he broke his leg. So it's pretty common to see the result of the medical diagnosis within a day. Today is Thursday, and I still have not seen any diagnosis information on Rashee Rice's injury. And I think in this case, no news is good news for Chiefs fans and the Chiefs as a whole, because I believe that if Rashee Rice had a torn ACL, a fully torn ACL, that would have already shown up in an MRI. That information would have already come out. I think what's taking this situation so long to get released to the public is because it's a complex injury. There could be need for further evaluation and testing of Rashee Rice's knee. Sometimes swelling can interfere with some testing, or they might want to wait till the swelling backs off before they do more testing. Now, I don't believe that you can't view an MRI with there being a lot of fluid in the joint. I think it's totally feasible for medical staff to review an MRI and identify a torn ACL if there is swelling. But sometimes there needs to be further evaluation, and a consultant or an expert might have to be brought on board. Sometimes if it's an orthopedic injury, there's something wrong with the bone, it can be very challenging to diagnose. There are some breaks and some types of fractures that are very rare, and they can be hard to diagnose. So the team might be consulting specialists. They might be having conversation with Rashee Rice and his desires of going forward with the season. It could be a situation where they could choose to have surgery, or they could choose to wait. It could be a situation where there are multiple options on the table for Rashee Rice to decide upon, and he's still making those decisions. It could also, be discussing non-surgical options for Rashee Rice to repair this injury, but there might be implications down the road if he plays without getting surgery. So there's a number of things going on here, and I believe the reason that this has not been released to the public yet is that it's just a complex injury. And Rashee Rice and his camp need time to figure out how they want to handle the situation and how they want to go forward. So in the meantime, I think all of us are of the understanding a player hurt their knee this way. We saw it happen on live TV. We saw the injury firsthand. And so now we're thinking, okay, he's got to be at least out for a little while. The Chiefs are already missing Hollywood Brown for the entire year. So maybe they should look at free agent options. And of all the conversations I've seen, the only realistic free agent option that I see for the Chiefs that I think could step in very soon in an Andy Reid system and do some work is Amari Cooper. And I say Amari Cooper because, one, the Browns do not seem to be going anywhere this season. In addition to that, the price is right with Amari Cooper. The Browns would eat up most of Amari Cooper's contract, and the Chiefs would only be on the hook for about $1 or $2 million. And right now, the Chiefs have about $4 to $5 million in cap space. So for everyone out there saying the Chiefs should go and pick up Davante Adams from the Raiders, in my opinion, that is a pipe dream. I would be absolutely shocked if the Chiefs picked up Davante Adams. One, the Raiders are not going to want to trade with the Chiefs. Mark Davis still remembers all those heated rivalries between the Raiders and the Chiefs. That rivalry is still in existence. And then the Chiefs don't have the money to pony up for Davante Adams. So I don't see that happening. I saw Cooper Kupp's name being thrown out there. I don't see that happening. I think realistic option, the most realistic option, if I was a betting man, I would say the Chiefs keep what they have. They go forward with what they have. And then the second most realistic is a player like Amari Cooper or another low-budget player that they can bring on board, perhaps an old friend, like a Kadarius Toney. As much as you guys never want to see him back in Kansas City, I don't want to see him back in Kansas City either, but I think that's more realistic than a guy like Davante Adams or Cooper Kupp. I just don't see either one of those two players going to Kansas City. There's just too many unrealistic things that would have to happen for either of them to land in Kansas City. So right now we're going to wait and see what's going on with Rashee Rice's injury. In my opinion, I think it's not a season-ending injury. I think we would have heard already if it was season-ending. I think, once again, no news is good news, and we'll just wait and see what happens, and hopefully by the time this video posts, this whole conversation is moot because they've already talked about what Rashee Rice's injury is. But as of now, we don't know anything. Looking back at the Chargers matchup, if you like offensive football, this was a snooze fest. For me, though, I quite enjoy defensive football, so I grew up watching the Chiefs in the 90s. So I love defensive football games, and I still believe, just like last year, if you pair Mahomes with an elite defense, that team is going to be in the hunt for the Super Bowl almost every single year, and they're going to win it a lot. So last year we saw that. The Chiefs had a top-flight defense. Mahomes went in, won the Super Bowl. I think that this version of the Chiefs team is very dangerous. So all this talk about Mahomes regressing or this and that, the offense is not looking like it did back in 2018. I want to tell you, I think that ship has sailed, at least for the time being. Teams defensively are not going to let the Chiefs beat them deep. So the Chiefs are going to have to continue to run the ball and try to work and get their opportunities downfield. We saw Mahomes miss a couple passes versus the Chargers where Xavier Worthy was wide open. And some people look at that and they're like, well, why isn't he hitting this wide open receiver? The thing is with defensives now in the NFL, and the Chargers have one of the best defenses in terms of points per game allowed going into that game versus Kansas City. But the thing about these defenses is that they're mixing and matching coverages so much, it's almost impossible to know, okay, well, this guy's going to be open in this situation. I guarantee you, if the Chargers had given Mahomes the same look, throughout the game, and Xavier Worthy popped open like that, he would have found him because he would have known before the snap where to go with the ball. But right now, NFL defenses are trying to play this cerebral game where they're not allowing quarterbacks to know what the defense is doing pre-snap. So right now, that's kind of the biggest move I've seen that's causing defenses to play so much better, is that they're getting much better at the cerebral nature of the quarterback play. They're trying to outsmart the other team, and a lot of the times it's working. But the Chiefs won the game versus the Chargers divisional opponent 17-10. Did not give up a single point after the first quarter. So the Chargers scored 10 points early, and then they never sniffed the end zone or field goal again. They got close once, went for it on fourth down, didn't get it. And speaking of going for it on fourth down, I think that going for it on fourth down in those goal situations or those near goal situations, red zone situations, that might be a thing of the past, with that being the better decision with the way NFL defenses are playing right now. I think it's almost better to take the 3 points at this point in time in the way defenses are playing. So obviously there are circumstances where you need a touchdown late in the game where it's smarter to go for it. But if it's early on in the game, we've seen Andy Reid elect to kick the field goal. He did it last year or the year before versus the Bengals early on. And I think it's because he learned his lesson that one time he tried to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill on the flat versus the Bengals before halftime, and he got tackled inbounds, and the Chiefs ended up not scoring any points. They lost the game by less than 3. So this movement towards kicking the field goals, and we've seen that in the NFL, more and more field goals are being kicked, more and more field goals are being made, and it makes for a less exciting game in my opinion, but I still enjoy defensive football. So if you got a chance to score 3 points in this league, the way defenses are playing, I think you should take it, unless you're down a lot or the game demands that you've tried to score a touchdown. Moving on to the Saints matchup, the Saints are an interesting team. They're currently the number 1 offense, number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, and the number 6 scoring defense. So they are top 10 in both of these categories. Week 1, they saw the Carolina Panthers. They destroyed them 47-10. Week 2, they saw the Dallas Cowboys. They killed the Cowboys 44-19. Then they saw the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think might have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They're definitely bottom half of the league. And Philadelphia held them to 12 points, and they lost that game 12-15. Then they saw the Atlanta Falcons, who the Chiefs just played recently. They lost to them 24-26. So what does this tell to me about the New Orleans Saints? Week 1 and 2, they scored over 40 points per game. Then Philadelphia came in, held them to 12 points. That tells me that in those first 2 weeks of the season, those were schematic victories by the offense. The offense was doing something that the other team's defense was not expecting, and that's how they were able to score so many points. So what exactly is it that the Saints are doing offensively that's a little different than the rest of the NFL? Well, they are number 1 in rush attempts. They have ran the ball more than any other team in the NFL, and they're number 31 in pass attempts. So they've ran the ball more than anybody, and they've passed the ball almost less than anybody. So in this game versus the Chiefs, you should expect a steady dose of Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is averaging 90 rushing yards per game, just about at 4.5 yards per attempt. That's pretty dang good. You do that enough in the NFL, and you're going to grind out a lot of first downs and, keep the chains moving for your offense. So it is paramount for the Chiefs in this game once again to stop the run. This has been a recurring theme throughout the NFL this season is if you can stop the run, you can make the quarterback one-dimensional, you mix and match your coverages, and you're going to do well defensively. If you can't stop the run, you can still try to mix and match your coverages, but it's a lot harder to stop 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 than it is 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. So the Chiefs have to play good run defense in this game. And we talked about Mike Pennell being an unsung hero of this defense, but I also think Tershawn Wharton is having a really good start to his season. And it's good to see him back and doing well and being healthy in Kansas City. I think it took him a bit longer than expected to really come back from his injury. But if you remember, before he got hurt, he was a really bright piece on this defense. He was a player that had a rising arrow. And I think he's starting to meet some of that potential that he showed early on in his career. And he is another unsung hero of this Chiefs defense who's been playing very well. Alongside many of the other Chiefs defensive players, Chris Jones particularly, who is seemingly unblockable even though he gets double-teamed on every single play. The quarterback comparison for this game, Derek Carr is having a pretty good year. He's completing 72% of his passes for 824 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 8.2 yards per attempt, and a really good 103.9 rating. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, who people are saying is having a down year, which he is by his standards, he's completing 68.6% of his passes for 904 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, that's not good, 7.5 yards per attempt, and a rating of 89.7. So, by their play so far this year, Derek Carr has played better than Patrick Mahomes. That's all there is to it. Statistically, he has played better. So if the Chiefs want to beat the Saints in this game, first and foremost, take care of the run defense. And then you have to be able to run the ball offensively for the Chiefs as well. Take some of the pressure off of Mahomes without Rashee Rice, without his leading wide receiver. And I think that Kareem Hunt coming back to this team is a really good thing because we saw last week that he still has the juice. I thought, being gone for so long, coming back, he was going to look like a shell of his former self. He doesn't have the same burst and pop as he used to have when he first got to the league, but he still looked capable. And there's definitely a difference watching him run compared to Carson Steele. So I think that going forward, Kareem Hunt's going to be the guy in Kansas City, and Carson Steele and Samaje Perine are going to see spot duty. But for now, it's going to be Kareem Hunt's show. And I think Andy Reid trusts Kareem Hunt. He doesn't fumble the ball. And Carson Steele has. Carson Steele has already fumbled twice. And Andy Reid, if you've watched him historically, for some players that are trying to make an impact, they're coming up, they're trying to get their name built in the NFL. If that player has a fumbling problem, Andy Reid is not going to be patient with that. And I don't think he's going to give Carson Steele the lion's share of the carries anymore. It's going to be Kareem Hunt. And I think he's still got it just a little bit. Remember, he's 29 years old, which is like 87 in running back years, but he apparently can still run the ball a little bit. I think this is a difficult matchup for the Chiefs in a lot of ways because the blocking scheme that the Saints do is difficult to stop, and you've seen other teams have problems with it. I do like the fact that the Chiefs have speed on the edge, though. I think that's going to help them a lot in this game, and I have the Chiefs winning this matchup by a score of 21-20. It's going to be a close, hard-fought game. Another defensive matchup, Steve Spagnuolo goes into his crazy, awesome Steve Spagnuolo mode, and the Chiefs win this game. But now's your chance to let me know in the comments. What do you think of this matchup between the Chiefs and the Saints? Are you concerned at all about this matchup? What are your keys to the Chiefs winning this game? Let me know down in the comments. And then before I go, I just want to give a thanks to everyone who has stopped by and watched these videos and supported me and the other guys at RGR Football. We got nothing but love for you all. So if you could hit the subscribe button, we'd appreciate it and love you even more. And then don't forget to like the video. But this is Gary signing out. Let's go Chiefs. Everyone have a good rest of your week. And here's to an awesome Monday Night Football game. I hope you enjoy.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.